Welcome to the Frog Factor podcast. TCU's home opener is tomorrow night on Saturday. I'll have a live post-game show on this YouTube channel after TCU hopefully handles their business against Abilene Christian. We'll also look at the rest of the Big 12, and I have some thoughts on a coach who's been around for a long time. It feels like time might be running out for him, but we start today with keys to the game versus Abilene Christian. By the way, a thank you to – I'm going to mess up his username, so I'm sorry. Among Us Carter. So I think it's a play on, there's a video game, I believe, called Among Us. I'm 100 years old. I apologize. But there is this very nice person who runs a TCU burner Twitter account, and he helped me make graphics. He helped me. He made the graphics, and he sent them to me, and I appreciate it very much that you see on the Frog Factor YouTube page. So thank you for doing that, sir. It's nice to have people that have been willing to help out as I'm trying to kind of do this thing on my own. Anyway, thankful for his help. And Frogs play Abilene Christian tomorrow, FCS game. What are we looking for? What are the keys? I told you on Wednesday, I want to see young players play. There were 5 guys that I mentioned. One of them wasn't a young player. It was Avery Helm, who's coming back from an injury, and I hope he's back in the rotation. But players like Adam Schobel at quarterback, right? Chad Woodfork on the edge. Jacoby Hayes, who got a lot of hype during fall camp at the receiver position as a true freshman who could make an impact. How does TCU allow those guys to get in the ball game? Well, if they're going to play, it's because TCU has a big lead in the second half. So what are the keys to make sure that this happens? A little bit of a backstory on Abilene Christian. They are ranked 13th in FCS. So this is a good FCS school. This is not Long Island, who TCU played last year, which was a team that hung around 500 the last couple of seasons. Now, they did play an FBS opponent already in Tulsa and lost that game 35-7. They bounced back and beat Stephen F. Austin in week 2. TCU has had 13 days to get ready for this game, and hopefully also spending some time during the bye week preparing for SMU as well. I expect TCU to take care of their business and equip themselves well against this Abilene Christian team. But I did want to mention last season they took Texas Tech to the wire. A number of different faces on that squad. Maverick McIvor was their quarterback. He's now at Western Kentucky. But you get my point. This is not a totally hapless FCS squad that's coming into the Carter, but they did lose by 28 points to a group of 5 school earlier this year. So that would tell you TCU should be able to do what they need to do if they're focused and they play well. Key number 1, dominate in the trenches. The thing that impressed me the most about the North Carolina game, and this will be the last time I talk about it until I talk about it again, but some of you have mentioned in the YouTube comments like, hey, should we really be that impressed? Is it about TCU being good, or was that whole debacle for UNC just about North Carolina being a very bad football team that's not talented? And even with a great coach like Bill Belichick, they don't have the players to make plays and to make things happen. Well, the thing that gives me optimism, I'm not going to argue with people. Yes, North Carolina, I think, is a bad football team right now. I believe towards the end of the season, maybe that win looks better because they improve as the year goes on. Right now, it's not a good football team, right? I agree with you guys on that. I will say, though, the way TCU dominated that game was encouraging because if you think back to like Stanford last year, that wasn't the case. That was a 1-score ball game into the 4th quarter. And even like Nicholls State a few years ago, this team has had trouble at times coming out against lesser opponents and playing like they should. This is not a perfect example because I think Willie Fritz is a good coach, but Houston last year on a Friday night, right? From a talent standpoint, that was a ball game where TCU should have done their job and won the game, but they couldn't. And honestly, they got beat pretty badly that night, even though the final score didn't indicate it. But I was impressed with the way that they ran the ball, the way they stopped the run. And that's been an issue no matter who their opponent is for the last couple of years. Not being able to run the ball when they have to. Struggling in short yardage. Those issues were not on display versus North Carolina. So you want that to carry over into this week. Cade Bennett being added to the offensive line after suffering an injury last year, it gave that unit a big boost. his ability to pull around to the second level and get a hat on a hat made a big difference. Kavorian Barnes, I like the way he runs. I think he was also helpful in the season opener, establishing a run game, establishing an attitude, not being afraid to put his head down and get some tough yardage. But you think about like that 75-yard touchdown run to open the second half, he wasn't touched. I mean, it was perfectly blocked, perfectly executed, including Eric McAllister sprinting down the field to make sure that his running back had a clear path to go get a touchdown and that nobody would catch up to him from behind, in those last 10 or 20 yards. So let that carry over to game 2. Be a team that is physical, that can establish a run game. Because if there's any chance that things get squirrely in this ball game, it's going to be because you can't do the simple things well. ACU would have to play really well and TCU would have to beat themselves. And the quickest way for that to happen is if you can't put yourself in second and third and manageable, and you can't move the chains on third and short, potentially fourth and short if it comes to it. So the first key in my mind, and our 3 keys to this ball game, handle your business in the trenches. You should be able to rush the passer. Stone Earl, ACU quarterback, having a good start to the season. He's thrown for 379 yards, 1 interception. He's been sacked 6 times. So get after him and make sure that he's not comfortable making plays. Jordan Vaughn, their running back, averaged about 4 yards a carry, 137 yards on the year, 40 carries already. This is an ACU team that wants to establish the run as well. I don't think that's going to change, even with the opponent they're playing. So on the defensive line, you did a really nice job in week 1. The Deal brothers, Zach Chapman, Jonathan Bax when he comes into the ball game, Ansel Dinboo. You need to reestablish the line of scrimmage, get off your blocks. Don't allow them to get anything going in the run game and to potentially get any momentum for their offense moving forward. Key number 2, play a clean football game, right? I mean, it's pretty simple, but I truly think that in this ball game, it's more about TCU than it is ACU. It's about how you handle your business and take care of yourself. So don't turn the ball over. Don't have silly penalties. And that was something they did really well in week 1. You had the 1 interception on the screen, the tunnel screen that didn't work and was sort of dead on arrival from the beginning of the play. But you didn't have a ton of plays called back by penalties. Drake Dabney, they had a couple offensive pass interference plays. If you're going to run a crossing route, you got to sell Drake Dabney. That's not DJ Rogers. Drake Dabney was last year. I apologize. DJ Rogers. DJ Rogers, if you're going to run a drag route and your purpose is to get in the way of the other defender, you can't set a basketball pick. Like you can't stop in the middle there and run into the guy. You gotta make it look a little bit less suspicious when you're running those crossing patterns. And unfortunately, TCU had a few of those. But those were the only silly penalties that I can remember from that ball game. They played well overall. And again, that's a thing that has plagued this team for the last couple of seasons. It's just been a consistent problem. The details, at least against North Carolina, looked like they were being taken care of a lot better. And I feel like that's a credit to the coaching staff. There were a number of things that I came away optimistic about after that win. But against Abilene Christian, again, don't allow them to have any momentum. No silly penalties that kill drives. Don't turn the ball over, especially in your own territory. Play well on special teams. Usually in games like this, you can get a punt return for a touchdown. I remember those types of momentum shifting plays can be really beneficial. And you got a good crowd. It's home opener. It's family weekend. Give them something to cheer about. Play a clean ball game. Make things happen. And I think if you do that, you're going to be fine. And then finally, I said this on Wednesday. Get a lot of young guys involved. Now, so much of that's going to be predicated on what the score of the game is, how the game's going. But this is the perfect opportunity. And I don't think you can worry about red shirts. I feel like you just let guys play and the dust will settle how it does as the year goes on. but allow these players to get out there and make plays. And when you have your young players out there, don't get super vanilla with the playbook. Like, let them go experience this in its full, in the full way that you can, right? So allow those guys to get out there and make mistakes. And if they do those three things, then we're talking about a successful game against an FCS school. And success in this ball game, the first thing is win, but more importantly to me, no stress. And just like in the fourth quarter, make it to where you can really empty the bench and have some fun with some guys out there and allow your starters to rest. A big game against SMU coming up. Okay, I want to talk about the Big 12, but before we do that, I saw this come across Twitter yesterday, and I wanted to throw it out to our audience and see what. Oh man, I can't get the picture to work. Okay, I'll link it in the YouTube comments here, and you can go see it if you haven't. But there's a new concession stand item that'll be available tomorrow night at Amon G. Carter. It's called the Half Acre Korean Corn Dog in section 109. A hot dog plus mozzarella cheese combo dipped in ube butter, fried in panko, dusted with ube powder, and drizzled with a sweet and spicy honey. And if you haven't seen this, it's basically a purple corn dog. Like, it's a corn dog that looks like it's been dyed in purple food coloring. If anyone eats this weekend, please let me know. I saw that Jamie Plunkett from Frogs Insider and 247 said he was going to eat it and do a video review. So I'll be on the lookout for that. But if you're at the stadium this weekend and you get a chance to try that, give me your review, please, because I want to know what that was like and what your experience was, giving that a try. Big 12 games this week. Tonight, there's two big games, Colorado and Houston. Houston's actually a 4.5-point favorite in this ballgame. Colorado's 1-1. They lost to Georgia Tech. Houston's 2-0. They beat an FCS school, and then they took down Rice in week 2. I think Willie Fritz is the head coach. I'm taking Colorado in that ball game, even though I know they have some issues with their quarterback situation right now. But that's a very interesting early season Big 12 game. Another one, Kansas State and Arizona. K-State coming off a loss to Army. It's a mess right now, man. Avery Johnson doesn't look good. That team in general looks like they're struggling. Arizona, kind of like Houston, like had a tough year last year. They've handled their business so far against teams that they should beat. That's a tough game for K-State on the road. I said this the other day. The most important game for TCU in 2026 is that season opener in Dublin, because it's been proven now over the last couple of years. If you lose in Dublin, Ireland to start the season, it's an uphill battle to try to fix this thing and get it right. So better have your heads on straight when you take on Bill Belichick in North Carolina next season in Ireland. Other Big 12 games, Abilene Christian, TCU, of course, Sanford and Baylor, Oregon State and Texas Tech. Don't think we'll find out much about Tech there. Oregon State's 0-2. I believe they'll do what they have to do. Cincinnati plays Northwestern State, Iowa State, Arkansas State, Utah, Wyoming. Texas State, Arizona State is intriguing. Texas State coming off a big win against UTSA. That's a good program. Kenny Dillingham trying to bounce back after that horrible loss that they suffered against Mississippi State. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And then one more game that I'm intrigued by. I don't know how close it's going to be. West Virginia's coming off a tough loss to Ohio, but Rich Rodriguez back at West Virginia, the backyard brawl, one of the best rivalries in college sports. It's back. West Virginia and Pitt squaring off head-to-head. That's at 2:30 on ESPN. So a good Big 12 slate. This is fun, man. We're getting to the point in the year. We'll find out in a couple weeks. We'll find out next week a lot about TCU when they take on SMU. But in a couple weeks when they take on Arizona State in the season opener on a Friday night, we're getting Texas Tech and Utah next weekend, a 10 a.m. local kick, which is insane to me, but that's the truth. So a lot of fun things coming up in the Big 12 and big-time matchups. But TCU Abilene Christian, don't forget, post-game show tomorrow after the ball game, and we'll have full coverage after TCU hopefully takes care of their business and wins big against Abilene Christian. Want to give a quick shout-out before we go. TCU Volleyball. They beat Wyoming on Thursday night, but on Wednesday they took down Texas A&M, which was a top 10 ranked team, in 5 sets. They beaten 4 top 25 ranked team so far this season. Really good job by them so far. I watched that Wednesday night, and it was a fun game to watch. So if you haven't had a chance to check out TCU Volleyball, do that soon. Make sure you tune in to the post-game show tomorrow. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. That's the best way to support me. It's your team. I almost said every day, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Thank you, guys.